Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İrlanda'nın önde gelen üniversitelerinden ve Immaculate College'da eğitim ve çalışma olanaklarını Alison'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Alison, the stage is yours now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. I'm delighted to be able to talk with you and to tell you a little bit about Mary Immaculate College as well as life in Ireland. What I am going to do now is share my screen so that you can see a little bit of my PowerPoint, which has a lot of images in it. Don't worry, there's not too much text. I'm hoping that the pictures will actually give you an idea about what the college is like, what Ireland is like. And of course, if you have any questions, I would really urge you to start, putting the questions in the box, and at the end of the presentation, I'll address them all. I find when you speak and you talk about the questions, it answers them for other people too. So I hope this is very informative for you. And as I said, I'm open to answering any questions afterwards. So, as you know, we are Mary Immaculate College, and we are based in Limerick in Ireland. We're quite an old college. We were founded in 1898. We're an inclusive multi-campus college of education and liberal arts in Limerick. And when I say multi-campus, I mean we have a second campus in Tipperary. So those two campuses, they're actually about an hour apart, but there's different subjects on offer in each campus. So that's why they don't need to be close to each other. But this picture here was the building that was first opened in 1898. So that's the oldest building. Don't worry, this isn't the only building. It's a very mixed campus with new buildings as well. So there's a lot of modernity as well on campus. So I'll take you through some of that now. This is one of our newer buildings. This actually houses our Lime Tree Theatre. So basically, we have undergraduate programs as well as a range of postgraduate programs at diploma, master's and PhD level. The subjects that are open to international students are what are open to the Irish students, but we also have some additional subjects for our international students. Maybe if they want to get, a little bit more into the culture and learn a bit more about Ireland. So we also offer Irish heritage studies, beginners Irish language, and then of course we do English as a foreign language and English for academic purposes. And there is actually great support on campus for all of our international students if they need the English for academic purposes program. So that's just to let you know, once you have the minimum requirements to enter the college, any help you need during your time in college is readily available to all of our students. So a bit more about the campus. We're a friendly and safe campus, and we're located right in the heart of Limerick City. I'm not sure what campus sizes are like where you are, but we have about 5,000 students. So that would be considered maybe a medium size. The city centre, where you've got shops, restaurants, coffee shops, pubs, clubs, shopping, everything. That's only 10 minutes walk from campus. So you're very, very central with us. And that also means you have a lot of accommodation options within walking distance too. So while we have college accommodation, sometimes students like to, rent privately, maybe rent their own apartment with their friends. And we have a lot of those options around the college as well, because we are so close to the city centre. So then if you're actually looking at the college accommodation costs, they actually work out very well, because Limerick is considered a low-cost city. And we have, as I mentioned, there's so many different accommodation options. But if you go for any of the college options, they can range between 2,300 up to 2,500 per semester. And the way it works in Ireland is they're really self-catering accommodation options. So on campus, we have restaurant, coffee shop, anything like that. But then what, when, you know, if you want to eat your dinner at the night, have your breakfast before you go to the college, you actually have cooking facilities within your own apartment. So that's kind of what the Irish students do, and it does work out very well, cost-effective wise, to just buy your own groceries during the week. So Limerick is a riverside student city, and we're on the west coast of Ireland. So there are 30,000 students in the city calling it home. And the reason it's called a student city is because there's actually 3 different higher level institutes in Limerick. So it's really very, very centralized around students. We are the 3rd largest city with a total population of just under 100,000. So you can imagine if 30,000 of those are students, there's really a lot of young people in the city, and a lot of activities and initiatives aimed at that cohort as well. We have our own international airport. It's Shannon International Airport, and that is just 20 minutes from the college. So if you actually fly into Shannon Airport, we can arrange for a driver to pick you up and bring you to your accommodation. It's certainly very, very welcome for the international students, especially coming to the country for the first time. Just to give you a little idea where we are, you'll see on the right there is Dublin City. Everybody knows that, it's the capital of Ireland. And Limerick City then is on the west side, but you will actually sit, to give you a bit of an idea, it really, the bus system, the train system, they're amazing in this country, and you would get a bus to Dublin City in about 2.5 hours. Which means you get to experience the vibrancy of a capital city, but you don't have to pay the costs. And that's the thing about Dublin. It does cost a bit more to stay there, and certainly for students as well, there would be a higher cost. We're also right between 2 other fabulous cities here, Galway and Cork, and they are both just an hour and a half away from us at Mary Immaculate College. So there's really a lot to do and a lot of other places to visit when you're in the country as well. Now, in terms of the programs that we have on offer, you can actually choose from a variety across our undergraduate offerings. So we're going to look at undergraduate first, and then I'll touch on some of our postgraduate offerings also. So liberal arts it's really one of the main things that we do very well. Unlike other universities, we don't offer everything like engineering, medicine. We're very much focused on education and on liberal arts, but you might be surprised what actually comes under liberal arts, because I know I certainly was. Our most popular subject, I would say, is the Bachelor of Arts. So you will see all of these subjects listed here that come under the Bachelor of Arts. There's English, mathematics, media, psychology, geography, German, French. There's basically all of these subjects are on offer under the Bachelor of Arts. And as a first-year student, you get to try out 4 of those subjects. So you can pick any 4, do them for the year, and then after first year, it's hoped that you'll have a good idea of what you want to actually study, and you pick 2 of those to bring to degree level. So that means you actually graduate with a double major from the Bachelor of Arts. This really is a very interesting bachelor degree, and there are so many different jobs that you can get once you have these qualifications also. Another one that we have on offer, I mentioned we have our own theatre on campus, and we do, but it's not just a college theatre. There's a lot of national shows put on here from around the country, and it's open to the public. And that means that any of our students who are studying our BA in Contemporary and Applied Theatre Studies, this professional theatre is at their disposal. It's essentially their classroom. So it's a very, very interactive bachelor's degree. It's not just about acting. I just want to specify that. I mean, sure, there is performance in it, but this is quite a unique degree in that you're also learning technical skills. So it might be lighting, costumes, set design, anything like that. You're getting actual, tangible skills if the acting isn't always what you want to do. And we do put a lot of shows on within the college as well that the students are or hands-on getting involved in. So you're really getting a full spectrum there of experience within it. There's also a second theatre that you will have access to as well. So basically you have studio workshop as well as classroom teaching. You're not just in the classroom the whole time. You are expected to do 3 full-scale productions along with 15 theatre visits throughout the year. And the opportunity to engage with professional, touring and community-based theatre practitioners is there, as well as professional placements across various arts organisations. And because, as I said, we're very focused on arts, we do have a lot of links within the arts organisations. So if you want to do a placement, there's no problem arranging that for you. So then kind of more on the education side is our BA in Early Childhood Care and Education. This is actually very popular among our international students also. It's very focused on the care and education of young children. So you're looking at from birth to 6 years of age. And again, this is another one that you're not just stuck in the classroom. It's very much practical based as well. You'll find there's placement opportunities throughout the whole 4-year program in a variety of settings. So you'd be going to places such as playgroups, daycare centres, creches, early start units and preschools, and that's throughout the whole duration of the program, which gives you a very, very rounded degree when you finish. Then I mentioned we have 2 campuses. The Limerick one is where a lot of the activity happens, but our second campus is in Tipperary in a town called Thurles, and this very much focuses on second level education, so that is high school education. And the subjects we can offer our international students here, they're very unique because you get a BA in education, but also in business studies. And then, so with the BA in education and business studies, you can also select from either accounting, mathematics, or religious studies. So not only do you have a qualification in business and accounting, but you're always also qualified to teach it at second level. So that's a really unique degree. And essentially you would have a lot of placement opportunities as well within that 4-year degree program. So as I said, there's 3 there. It's the education and business, and then you choose either accounting, mathematics, or religious studies to go with that. Something to remember, and it's a question we get a lot from international students, is the degree transferable back home? And the answer is yes. Your degree from MIC is transferable worldwide. We are fully recognised internationally through the Irish National Framework of Qualifications and the European Credit Transfer and Accumulation System. So your degree will work for you if you actually want to get a job after college, or if you want to go on to further study. There's no problem with that. So just to talk a little bit then about the fees. We have brought our fees down as much as possible to make third level education more accessible for students. Our degree programs are €11,128 per year. With that though, payment plans can be arranged with our student fees office. So generally the payments are meant to be split into the 2 semesters. However, if you want it in smaller payment increments, the student fee office can actually arrange that for you. Now we are a partner of FAFSA, but that only applies to US students. So if you're a United States citizen and you qualify for a FAFSA loan, we can apply those to your studies at MIC as well. So I did mention that some of the programs are 4 years. In fact, all of the programs really are 4 years, but if you choose our BA in Liberal Arts or our BA in Theatre Studies, you may actually be entitled to get an exemption from the 3rd year of the program. So that means you do 1st year, 2nd year, and go straight into 4th year, getting your honours degree in 3 years and saving you the tuition payments on the 4th year. Now, just to explain that to you, in Ireland, it's 4 years. So the 3rd year, we basically force our Irish students to get out of the country and do maybe a study abroad year, or a work placement in another country. But because you're here as an international student, you're basically seen to already be having that international experience. So instead of forcing you to do it, it's actually optional. So if you decide you want to do a study abroad, of course, that's no problem. But if you say, no, I just want to get my degree done in 3 years, we are very happy to allow our international students to do a 4-year degree in just 3 years and basically reap the benefits of that. As I said, you can choose to study abroad in 3rd year, and those options you can either do a semester or a year abroad, and that is for either study or for work placement. Now at MIC we have many partners across the EU, the United States, Latin America, Asia and Australia. So if you decide, yes, I would like to study in a different country for a year, we have partners across all of these areas, and we can actually arrange for that for you, and the college looks after all the arrangements for you in our offices. So there's never any problem with that. What some international students do, and it is actually a good idea, if you actually did want to do the degree in just 3 years, you could actually use your 4th available year then to study a master's program. We have one of our students from Mexico who completed the Bachelor of Arts in 3 years, and now she's doing her Master's in Media Studies, and that means she, having left Mexico with nothing, she's going back after just 4 years with a master's degree. So that's a really great option to have as well. So they will cost, it depends which one you choose, they can cost between 9,000 and 11,000, and we do have a wide range of postgraduate programs open. In Ireland, postgraduate programs are actually 1 year full time. So I think it depends on other countries. They are quite intense, but we get it all into 1 year, so you will qualify by the end of it with your master's. So in terms of what we offer at postgraduate level, we offer taught postgraduate or research postgraduate. So we have taught postgraduate in liberal arts, and they are the MA or the structured PhD in applied linguistics, the MA in history, MA in media studies, MA in modern English literature, and a structured PhD in contemporary Irish studies. So they would be available to international students under liberal arts, and these, as I mentioned, are taught ones. So you are in the classroom for a certain amount of time with a thesis due at the end. And then the taught postgraduates under education, we have a Master of Education, which is incredibly popular with international students, structured PhD in education, and then we have a new middle leadership and mentoring in school settings program, and that's offered at either graduate certificate, diploma or MEd level. And the difference with this is it's a part-time program and it's only available online. So particularly, I suppose, in the current climate where the pandemic has made everybody rather, it's not as easy to get around. It's good to have an online option as well. And some of the other programs are have an online option too. This one is completely online. So aside from the taught postgraduate, we also have research postgraduate. So that is where you're assigned really a supervisor before you even start, and the whole postgraduate is about doing your research and presenting your thesis and your findings. So any of our arts subjects, you can do a Master's in Arts by research, and the reason we don't have the subjects there is basically because you choose the subject, and the same goes with PhD. Likewise, there's the MA in Education by research. Again, you choose the subject, and that goes for the PhD as well. So going back to the campus and what actual supports are available for students, we very much focus on pastoral care, especially for international students that might be away from family for the first time. It's quite a different environment. So there is a chaplaincy service, a counselling service, a medical centre, a health promotion unit, an academic learning centre, student parent support, and the very important students' union. The Students' Union are very, it's quite a big organisation on the Irish campuses because they're very much direct support to the students for kind of wider topics, and of course they arrange the whole social side of a student's lifetime as well. So it's really important to have a good Students' Union on campus, and we do have an excellent one. I did mention the Academic Learning Centre earlier as well. That would where the English for academic purposes comes in. You would get that there, or anything else you need for help with during your time. Sports facilities then, so on campus and around the city, as I mentioned, we're very close to the city, so it does mean that there's a lot open. And the pictures you have there are the events on campus, so we have a basketball court, table tennis, we've green pitches for football, hurling, which is an Irish sport. Then there's a big studio for fitness clubs, there's a gym as well. So there's really a lot there, and of course, because it's an on-campus facility, there's discounts for students who want to sign up to on a membership basis. But if you don't, there's just classes as well that are pay as you go. So it really does depend what you're into there. Our international students are fully integrated with Irish students. So as I mentioned, we have a great Students' Union, and they look after our clubs and societies as well. So there's so many clubs and societies you can get involved in, and that brings you closer to your fellow students as well. You get to know people. And because we have just 5,000 students, our classes are much smaller, the class sizes. So that means you're getting a better education, and you've got a great student-lecturer ratio. I know for many of our students, the lecturers actually know them by name, which is certainly more beneficial, I think, especially when you're an international student and you're getting to grips with the new system. So our entry requirements, basically, our general entry requirement is a GPA of 3.0, which has to include English, another language, and mathematics. In terms of IELTS, you have to have a composite score, minimum score of 6.5. I know I do believe it's 70% minimum you would need to achieve in your high school scores, plus a year of bachelor degree in your own country. If you haven't completed a year of a bachelor degree, we can facilitate a foundation year for you. So you would need that along with a minimum of 70%. And the 6.5 in the IELTS English test as well. So just so you can see, this is me, Alison Ryan. This is my email address. So it's alison.ryan@mic.ul.ie. I work in the international office full-time. We have a big team there. We can answer your questions anytime. And then in terms of on-site support with our international student, the doors are always open. We have many students who just come in to hang out sometimes, but the support is always there for international students, and it's very important that I mention that. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen right now. Okay. So I'm going to now just have a look at some of the questions that you've sent to me. I'm sure you have a lot, particularly during the pandemic that we've had, and I can explain to you as well how we've handled working through the pandemic at this time as well. So I have a few questions here. I'm going to read them out. I'm going to read out the question and read out the answer, so hopefully you can all then benefit from getting that answer. So the first question I have, what are the qualifications required to work, especially for those from different countries? Well, if you're talking about working during your studies, you just need to make sure that the visa you get is the right one, first of all. I think is it a 1 or a 1A stamp? The stamp that you get on your visa will allow you to work in Ireland, and then that means you actually get to work 20 hours per week during term time. and that goes up to 40 hours per week when you're on holidays or annual leave. So there's a lot of time there. In terms of a stay back after your studies, if you complete a degree with us, you're actually entitled to stay in the country for an extra year afterwards to get a job. And if you complete a master's degree with us, you're entitled to stay in the country for an additional 2 years afterwards to get a job as well. So it's worth actually knowing that. Another question here, do we need to study foundation year? Yes, you do. If you have actually already completed 1 year of a bachelor degree, you can actually get direct entry into the Irish colleges and into MIC. But if you haven't completed that, as I mentioned, it's a 70% minimum in your high school exams, and then a foundation year. And yes, we do have a partner foundation. There is a group called DIFC, and they are based in Dublin and in Cork. They will actually host you for the foundation year, and once you pass the exams set by them, you are entitled to receive an offer letter to start your studies at Mary Immaculate College. So can an international student get, oh yes, I've answered that one. Can an international student get a postgraduate work permit? Yes, as I mentioned, it is 2 years for postgraduate, and that's after you complete your degree. So that's certainly something that really is very vital for a lot of our students. It means that then whenever they do go back home, they not only have their master's degree, but they have a 2 years of solid work experience done as well. Okay, what is the application deadline for this fall semester, and do you think the education will be online or face-to-face? That's a very good question. The first one I'll say about the application deadline, really, our application deadline is technically the 1st of July, but we always advise people not to leave it that late for 2 reasons. The first one is your visa. If you need a visa to study in Ireland, you need to be thinking about that sooner rather than later, especially during a pandemic. There have been months of delays, and if you don't have your visa in time to start classes, you'll miss too much of it to start at all. So while yes, July is our deadline, we would always ask people to consider well in advance so they can make sure their visa is organized in time. The other side to that is accommodation. So as I mentioned, we have college accommodation for students, and we certainly recommend first years to use the college accommodation. That's where they start to make friends, mix with other people. Usually students make a lot of friends in first year, and then they might decide they want to rent their own place. But certainly for first year, I think it's very vital that you have that support system behind you. So with Ireland, a lot of students, they will book the accommodation months in advance. Again, if you leave it until July, there's not going to be any college accommodation available for you to book. So again, this is another consideration. Make sure you think about where you want to go. And once you get an offer from us, we can provisionally book a place for you in our college accommodation, and at least you have that guarantee then that you will have somewhere to stay. Now, and as is the case, sometimes people are very last minute, and that does happen, and we will always help to find you somewhere. It's just that you may not have your preferred option available to you if you leave it too late. So they're just two of the considerations there. The second part to that question then is, do you think education will be online or face-to-face? This stage, we don't know. I mean, where are we? March, we're April now. It's months away. We are obviously very, very hopeful things will be face-to-face. It's just so difficult to tell right now. I mean, I don't know what you're hearing on the news, but we're hearing on the news, in Ireland, we are still in a high-level lockdown. We're now hearing France has gone into another lockdown. Other countries are going into lockdown. It's very, very hard to tell. We very much want to be face-to-face. If we're not, though, you know, at the very least, we're hopeful that it's more realistic to say in the second semester in January 2022 that should definitely be face-to-face. again, that all depends how things go, you know, closer to the end of the year. But we have done very well to pivot and put all our programs online. And, you know, we do make sure that the students are still getting the support they need. So unfortunately, I don't have a definite answer for you there. I can just let you know that as the situation updates, we can update any interested parties. So if you I'll put down my email address for you again, and feel free to keep in touch with me, and I can let you know what's happening. Okay, so there we go. Here's one on the minimum GPA requirement. Yeah, so technically the GPA is 3.0, but in terms of your specific high school exams, it's 70%. Now, I know if you have actually attended an international school, and if you have actually completed the international baccalaureate or GCSEs, they will actually, they're kind of more direct entry. But if you have completed just home country exams, then it would be 70% minimum with a GPA of 3.0. I wouldn't say it's very flexible. The reason it's not is Irish students here don't get flexibility. They have to attain a certain minimum score to get into college, and it's not fair to them if we let international students, you know, get into college on a different system. It kind of lessens the validity of our degrees as well. So we have a minimum standard for a reason, so that all of our students have at the very least reached that minimum standard to join our college, and you know, that's keeping the standard up, and that's better for you when you get your degree as well. How many credits per semester? It's a different credit system. I'll have to get back to you on that one. It doesn't really work on a credit basis as much. I can actually get back to you on that one, so I'll check that out and let you know. So can you get a conditional acceptance? Yes, it is possible to get a conditional acceptance if it's not an IELTS score that reaches our minimum requirement. Obviously, English language is incredibly important because we do all of our classes through English language. And we would, of course, you know, like to be kinder and let people in with a lower level, but that means then that you won't be able to keep up with the Irish students who have fluent English. And if you fall behind in your studies, it suddenly means you've paid your fees to enter for the year, you might fail your exams. So again, it goes to flexibility with entry requirements. English language requirements have to be at a minimum level to ensure, you know, there's a certain standard and that everybody is starting on an equal footing, more or less. And that means you have a better chance of doing well with your degree as well. So let me see, I have another question there. Do Turkish students have part-time working opportunities? Yes, that would be, so part-time during the year, during the term time, shall we say, and then during holiday time, you're entitled to work full-time. Again, just make sure when you do your visa application, I believe it's the 1A stamp that you need to be allowed to work. But when you're going through the whole process of the visa process, that will be made clear to you what kind of stamp you're getting. So we have another one here who's going to graduate from college and the priority is a language school. Oh yeah, so this is an interesting one. So graduated from college with the priority in languages, but wants to do a master's degree having done tourism. So basically, can you start a master's that's different to your degree? And the answer to that is yes. I think particularly when you've done language, it's quite I would say it's quite, you know, relevant. So what we actually do is we take into account the results that you got, and you'd also do then an interview with the head of department. If you're passionate about it and you have an interest, that's actually what makes the difference. Again, there are minimum score requirements in your degree. So whatever you get in your degree, it has to reach a minimum level in order to get in for the program. But if it's a different program to what you studied in your degree, definitely it is an option once the head of department is happy that it's something you're very, very passionate about doing. So living expenses then, what is it like? Limerick is very good for cost of living. It does depend. There's a lot of private accommodation around the college that, as I say, the students would sometimes want to live in themselves. So it does depend what you're looking for. I could say it's €1,000 a month for an apartment, but I don't actually know. I only know what the college accommodations would actually cost. I know definitely there's been a student who got a whole house for €800 a month. Depends what your standard is as well. So it can be difficult, you know, if you're kind of happy enough for something cheaper, there's probably more open to you than if you kind of want something more fancy, shall we say. But there are different options, so it does very much depend. It does very much depend what you're looking for. There is another one here on, is a master's program include an internship? No, it doesn't. The master's program is very much concisely offered as a taught program or a research program. So all of that is spent doing your master's work. Essentially, there isn't an internship included in it. So, but that's not to say that our departments won't have contacts within the different areas. I know particularly, for instance, in the media studies department, I know they had a contact in Snapchat, and for the students, they actually had a one-year internship for the degree program in media. They had a one-year internship at Snapchat. So I know that they have contacts. So even at master's level, if you can't get an internship, they might be able to refer you to the contacts that they have within the necessary industries. So I hope that answers that for you. Something that I did mean to say was that in terms of our the setup, in terms of the semesters, our semesters run from September to December. That's semester one, and the second semester is January to May. Now, there's a really big gap during the Christmas holidays, and a lot of our students get to go home because there's such a good gap. There's about 6 weeks. So you finish in early December and then you don't come back till late January. So, you know, I think particularly for students who might be quite homesick, it's nice to know that they get to us in September, but they can go home again in December for a good long break, and they're back again then at the end of January and finish by May. So it's it's quite a good setup for students. You'll be looking at mid-May, maybe would be the end once you've finished exams and everything like that. So that's the options there for students on the year. I don't see any other questions here. If anybody has any, please feel free to ask me. I'm certainly very open to asking. And I'm just going to throw into the chat here my email address, because if any of you are maybe a bit too shy to talk to me right now, there is no problem sending me an email afterwards. We can talk, and we can actually set up a one-to-one call if that's something you're interested in doing too. I know there's been quite a lot of information today. Maybe some of it has gone over your head, or maybe some of it does actually interest you. So if there's something in particular you want to talk about, I'd be very, very happy to have a one-to-one call with you and talk through. But I don't see any more questions. So I just want to thank you all for your time today. It's been great talking to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Alison, for your answers. I think you covered all of the questions.
Perfect.
And thank you for your great presentation. It was really comprehensive and informative for the attendees. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Immaculate College ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Alison'ın paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda sizi altıdaki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you again, Alison. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks again, everybody. I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.